It was anti-establishment. It was cool. It was hip. There was a bunch of guys having a good time.
Hey guys, my name is James Walsh, and you are listening to the Wrestling Epicenter here on YouTube. I want to thank you for finding us. Please do me a favor and click that subscribe button and the notifications bell. And if you get the chance on this video, click the like button. If you do, it'll turn blue. Check it out. Also, check out WrestlingEpicenter.com for all this great content available in MP3 format, our online store that'll keep us going free and clear, daily news updates, as well as all the information from the history of professional wrestling you could possibly ever want. Check out WrestlingEpicenter.com online right now. Without any delay, let's get to your interview here on the Wrestling Epicenter.
We are being joined live on the air by the one and only Nova, Simon Dean, whatever you want us to give you, to call you. It's great to have you on the show. How are you doing tonight, brother?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me. It's I don't really do a whole lot of these, so I get the call to do this one, and you guys seem pretty cool. I talked to you a couple days ago and set this up, and it should be pretty interesting. This should be pretty good.
It should be interesting. Like I said, I did check you out on Wikipedia, and I saw you did a couple, but yeah, you're right. When you left, it was kind of like you didn't do a lot of the interviews, so a lot of the guys do the loops.
Most of them are just, honestly, most of the guys I don't know or I haven't had any reference to them, and most of them are just, I mean, I'm as polite as I can be, are just goof hacks who have no idea what the hell they're doing. They make no sense when they're on the radio, and they usually have some kind of agenda where they just want to, it just gets they get annoying after 5 or 10 minutes, and, you know, I don't have the time to lend myself to that, you know what I mean? I'd rather just do the good ones. It ain't about quantity, it's about quality, so.
Well, hopefully Francine, who's running the show on June the 27th, vouched for us. She actually used to host our show for almost a year there, so she's been around for a while.
That's the reason I wanted to do it, because Franny called and put you guys over, and I, you know, looked into a little bit myself, and I said, yeah, you know, anything that Francine is connected with, was connected with, or anything at all she's ever going to be connected with, that's enough. That's all I need to hear. I mean, Francine's awesome, so that's why, you know, anything I could do to help her out is perfect.
Absolutely, and you'll be doing an event to hopefully help her out and help out a really good cause, and that is June 27th at Legends of the Arena, back where it all started, the ECW Arena. You looking forward to heading back to the where it all started?
Yeah, it's actually, I think since I left WWE, I mean, actually a lot of people don't, I guess only know this or don't know this, I officially left the ring in WWF, WWE, whatever it is, WWE, in June of 2006, before I took the job behind the scenes. A lot of people forget that I actually left the ring on my own to take that job in talent relations. So I actually left the wrestling ring full-time 3 years ago this month. I've had maybe, I think, 2 or 3 matches in the past couple years. I just went to England like a month and a half ago with Meanie and did that. When Francine brought up the thing about, I saw Francine at the autograph signing we did in Allentown about 3 months ago. And actually we started talking about financing and doing a loan and stuff like that for a house she was purchasing. And it came up about the arena show. And she asked me my availability of it. I know, like, again, anything that Francine's connected to is honest and it's good. I couldn't give her my support enough. I haven't been to the Jersey Shore in a while, so we're going to be out there for a couple days before that and then do the show on the 27th. And, you know, I have not stepped foot into the ECW arena in, when was the last one? I mean, what was it, January 2001, I guess?
Probably, January 2001, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys ran that arena then, but I know you did the pay-per-view.
We did. I did the last, let's just say, for, you know, argument's sake, January or February. I think it was February 2001.
Yeah.
I wrestled Easy Money at the ECW arena, and when I left the arena, I kind of knew that was going to be the last time we were in the arena because, you know, money problems, everything else. We had those 2, you know, shows in Arkansas after that. But,
Pine Bluff, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, I knew at the arena show, it was probably the last time I was in there, and I told myself, I will never step foot in this arena again unless it has something to do with ECW. And there's been apparently 9 million people who run that building. I think each one of them thinks, like, because they call it the ECW arena, it's like, you know, like in Field of Dreams, like, you book it, they will come. Because there's so many people that think that building, I swear to God, man, they all think it has magic power. I mean, not for nothing, but, like, the ex-PW guys are there, and, what is that one that,
3PW, the Jasmine ran, right?
Zandig guy that hits you, the weed whackers, them guys.
Oh, yeah, CZW, yeah.
Nice guys, but they run that building, and the ROH thing there is now, and Meanie's old thing, and the back seat Boy guys, they do that bill. I mean, everybody in the world runs the ECW arena. It's not. So I've never been there. I never went for any of those groups. A bunch of them called me to do stuff in the past, and I wouldn't do it. So this is the first time that any South Philly fan who used to come to that building will get a chance to see Nova or Simon, whatever the hell incantation I am in, will get to see me in almost, 8 years, because I haven't been there since.
Well, not to put down any of the other promotions that you just talked about, but obviously the ECW fan base is very passionate about that product, and still to this day they still talk about it. What was it about ECW that made it so special and made it stand out in the minds of wrestling fans even to this day?
It's part of why I'm doing it, too. I mean, when I tell you what, when we did that reunion autograph signing like 3 months ago in Allentown, it was mob. Turnout was way more than what I thought it was be, and these people were bringing pictures, figures to sign. I mean, it was awesome, and it made me reflect back, because as you guys know, I don't really wrestle full-time anymore. I'm not really in the business. I just I pay attention to it. I try to help the guys out as much as I can. I still got connections, in a bunch of different places, and try to do what I can for them. But with the ECW fan base, then don't get it twisted. I'm going to see the fans just as much as they're going to see me, because I can't wait to see Mike Johnson and John Bailey, Sign Guy, Faith No More Guy, Lenny. I mean, I'm seeing everybody that day. They're all going to be crawling out of the woodwork to come to that show that day, and I can't wait. I mean, to see these people. You got to remember something, man. I wrestled in that arena every month for almost 5 years straight. That's a long time, bro. And those people saw me go from being a flunky with Raven to being, on the verge of, I think, being towards the top of the card when it closed down.
Absolutely.
But it just, you can't explain what it is. ECW's got nothing to do with the initials ECW, what you see on TV now. And, it was atmosphere, it was work ethic, and the fans made it just as much as the guys did.
Yeah.
There's no bickering, no backstage bullshit. Nobody's melancholy, nobody's down in the dumps. I swear to God, man, from the minute you got on that plane or drove to the show, whatever it was, for as many days you were around the guys, you didn't want to go home. And when you left after the last show or the weekend, you're like, man, I can't wait to come back here next week. And this was us when we were really making no money.
Wow.
What career or what job? I don't know what you guys do for a living. Obviously, it's not hosting a radio show because they don't really pay that well, I don't think. Unless they do, I don't know. But
I wish I could say they do.
Yeah, but what jobs can you think of in your life that people would show up, pretty much work for free, get hurt, do what they got to do, have a great time doing it, and, complain a little bit about money when you had to, but you wouldn't see that. I know so many guys that are, unfortunately, I hate to say this, are probably sitting down Developmental right now. I know they were when I was running Developmental, that these guys would probably go on protest if their check didn't show up on Monday. I used to have guys just to call me in the office if their check wasn't there on Monday afternoon in the mailbox, because mail was late or something, and actually say to me, well, I don't want to go to practice until I get my check. And I'd be like, well, dude, it'll just be there tomorrow. Well, can I get some money, or how is this going to get fixed? I need money wired and all that kind of stuff. And I'm saying, man, I used to see guys throw themselves on the concrete for $50 a night.
Huh.
It's just a different mentality. ECW is a completely different mentality than anything else I've ever been around.
Was it Paul Heyman's Henry VIII speeches, or was it just...
It was the atmosphere. It was a bunch of guys sitting in the back who said, look, we're either here because we have to be, or we're either here because we're trying to get somewhere else. Make no mistake about it. Everyone in ECW was either in WCW or WWF, and they were trying to get back there, or they were trying to get there for the first time, or other guys couldn't go back there. But, there was no maliciousness amongst everybody. I mean, you didn't see Rob Van Dam walking around looking at everybody, giving them the evil eye because people were trying to go out there and steal the show. He would be like, all right, this is great, man. This is another guy I can maybe work with someday. Same with Sandman or Dreamer. I mean, Tommy Dreamer probably got beat by more people in that company than anybody. Yeah. And they were most of the time his idea. That's Sandman, all of us, all the guys. I mean, you went out there and, I don't know, a lot of interviews I read, a lot of the old-timers and people that really weren't there, they shit on ECW sometimes, and they say, oh, that was a bunch of crap and tables and barbed wire and all that crap they did. And I say, man, I wrestled there for 5 years, and I think I went through 2 tables.
Exactly.
It wasn't about that. It was not about tables, and sure there was that.
It wasn't just about that. I mean,
dude,
that
you had off-the-wall comedy, great entertainment, the Pulp Fiction segments they used to do at the end of the show. I mean, like comedy from Nova and Meanie and Stevie, or the cool angles. You had the girls on the show, the table, the violence. I mean, you just had stuff that teenage guys and young adults and people, a demographic that you were trying to attract, which obviously is all probably watching UFC now, but they were all, that subculture was watching wrestling. People used to discount it and say it's just a minute number, but they couldn't have been more wrong, obviously. I mean, it helped change the face of wrestling forever. So
ECW made wrestling cool again.
Yeah, I mean, it's no, and people, you know, I don't know. I mean, I see it now, and people want to shit on it all the time, but I say, look, just take it for what it is. It's a place for some guys to get on there, get some TV exposure, see if they can get over a little bit, then they'll be promoted to SmackDown or Raw.
Mm-hmm.
ECW is a way for some guys to get out of developmental, get on TV, it's another 3 initials to put on a T-shirt, but, on the flip side of the coin, people are going to remember ECW now for zombies and aliens and a boogeyman and a bunch of other stuff that, I don't know. I mean, I think Boogeyman actually kind of would have got over in the old ECW, too, so who knows?
It's possible. I mean, every once in a while, if you threw
anything was possible, bro. I mean, look at the old ECW, what came through those doors. I mean, we had everything from a fat blue guy doing moonsaults to hardcore guys, and I mean, it was a little bit for everything. But if you went out there and worked hard, people got into you.
Right.
I mean, you guys remember, I started off as a goofy superhero with blue paint on my face, and I went all the way.
They hated you at first, and then you won them over.
Yeah, running around with a cape, but people saw me grow, being the innovator and the moves and having good matches and team with Chetty, all that, and then eventually winding up, super shredded, lean, leather pants, long hair, the whole deal. I mean, I changed with them, and they saw it. So people, you can't, ultimately, wrestling fans, that's what I always loved about them, they're the ones that are going to decide what they like and what they don't like. You can tell them what they're supposed to like, but they're going to stick their finger up, and they're going to turn their channel on their TV, and then you're going to draw low ratings, and instead of 4s and 5s, you're going to draw 3.1s and 3.2s, and you're going to scratch your head and say, well, what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
People don't want to watch that,
Well, I find it funny that we talk about the ECW audience and the WCW audience, and really the only audience that's left is just the core WWE audience, because none of the WCW fans turned into WWE fans, and none of the ECW fans seem to have. So it's
no, it's a shame, man.
Yeah.
What were you guys into? I mean, how old are you guys?
Me, I am 28, and if you were asking...
24.
I used to stay up till 2 a.m. to catch ECW on ESPN or MSG or whatever channel it was on at the time.
See, I'm born and raised in the Jersey Shore. When I was in ECW from like 95 till 2001-ish, around there, I was working at Wendy's part-time, and we were on the Madison Square Garden Network.
MSG, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, I would literally, do the shows on the weekend and be at Wendy's on Monday morning, open up the restaurant. And all the high school kids used to come in and kind of look at me for a minute and be like, man, are you, you look real familiar. And then I'd be like, no, I know what you're talking about, because there's no way I was going to admit that here I was wrestling on TV on Saturday night, but yet here I am on Monday morning cleaning the parking lot with my manager's outfit on, getting ready to fill the Frosty machine. But and people forget that. They don't want to talk about that. I mean, too many guys today, I think, are starting their career in the WWE, if that makes any sense, instead of ending it in the WWE. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand it. I think it's a huge step back. I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, there's nothing you can do. There's no place left to go.
Right.
But
that's the thing that we were talking about with Lance Cade a little while ago, a few months ago. He was saying that, he's a product of the WWE, but he wanted to do all the other, areas. Like, he wanted to work for Harley Race. He wanted to work for Florida and things. And he said that's the only way you're going to learn is if you actually work the closest thing we've got now to territories.
You have to be in the ring. The only way you learn wrestling is by being in the ring with people who are better than you. And by doing matches and wrestling in front of crowds. I mean, it's the only way to do it. You don't get better with this by training every day. I mean, there's some great trainers in Florida. Like when I trained down here, I had almost 9 or 10 years in wrestling before I got to OVW. And I learned how to work hard and all that stuff before I got here. But when I got down here, under specifically Danny Davis and Rip Rogers and Jim Cornette, I learned how to work smart. And you got to be around people who are better than you. And now those guys are in Florida. They're in here around Kern and the Dr. Tom, who's aces. He's the best. They're going to learn how to take bumps and how to do stuff, but it's ultimately going to be up to them, get their feet wet, get their teachings in, to watch the professionals and really learn their craft well. And you're going to see the ones who don't, because these guys are going to go up there and do a couple months and then flunk out and then run around and bitch and cry to everybody how they got screwed or they didn't get a shot or their creative didn't know how to book them. Really? Because I've sat in those meetings and creative pretty much leaves it up to them. I mean, nobody runs up to you and sticks you with a scarlet letter and says, heel, or face. I mean, you are what you present yourself as, and they give you a lot more leeway than people think, man, as far as how you want to be portrayed. So.
Right.
Well, how much leeway did they give you in creating the Simon Dean character? Because I got to be honest, that was one of my favorite characters going for a while. So did they give you a lot of control over that?
That's exactly how it went, man. Flew out. Every 6 months or so, I'd go on the road, and it was always the same thing. Hey, you're really good. We just don't know what to do with you. And I said, okay, great. I guess, that's why you think they have a creative team. So I go up to TV one day, and John comes up to me, and Johnny's like, Johnny's aces. I mean, Johnny Ace is aces too, bro. He's the best. But I'll be friends with that guy for life. And so he calls me and says, hey, you're going to have a meeting with Vince today. I said, okay, for what? And he goes, well, he wants to talk to you and just get a feel for you and kind of get some ideas of how you can, add to the show. Cool. So I sit with him. Vince McMahon looks right at me. Me, Johnny, and Vince are in this office. And Vince says to me, you're as good as anybody I have up here skill-wise. I've never heard a bad thing about you. What are your ideas to join my main roster? I looked right at him. I said, I want to be like Simon Dean. I want to be like Tony Little or Jack LaLanne, something like that, like a fitness guy. Because I already know he likes working out, and I was already thinking of that. He always had ideas in my head of what to pitch.
Right.
So many of the guys in Developmental didn't. We'll get into that. But, so he was like, huh. So we start talking, and he goes, hey, yeah, I could see something like that, like the fitness powders and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at him, I said, yeah, like you had that old crummy Ico Pro laying around. Well, we could have something better. And, I said, he goes, well, we could do some vignettes with this. And I said, with all due respect, I don't see vignettes. I see infomercials. And he stops and he goes, huh. So, like, the next week, Vince McMahon only came down to OVW one time ever. And it just so happened he was coming down the very next week. So he comes down the next week, and, everybody's doing their fake phony matches for the writers and all that. So I go up to do mine. At the end of the day, John comes up and goes, hey, Vince wants to see what you got for this workout thing. I said, okay. So I came out with a gym bag and a sweat outfit, and I had the watch on, taking my pulse and all this. And I could see Vince cracking up at it. So at the end of the day, he comes up to me, he goes, yeah, this is a great idea. He goes, I can't wait to put this on my show. 2 weeks later, they flew me to Connecticut. They came up with the name Simon Dean. I thought of the color scheme, the outfit. Stephanie came up with the idea of putting my face on the back of my shirt. She just said to me one day, she goes, you know what, your face is just, she goes, take this the right way. She goes, your face is heat. There's just something about it. When you smile, I just want to smack you. So you put that back. I said, all right, cool. And so they flew me to Connecticut to do those vignettes, and I got there, and they said to me, they go, we have this idea to do these. What are your ideas? How do you want to shoot this? So I literally was directing my own vignette. And then, like, 3 weeks after that, I was in the casino boat one day here in Kentucky, and I was watching these security guards drive around on these scooters, on the Segways.
Right.
So I said to my wife, I go, oh, my God, look how lazy is that. They don't even want to walk. They don't even want to walk. They want to ride those. So I printed out a picture, and I brought it to Stephanie and said, hey, I want to come to the ring on this. And she goes, wow, this is pretty neat. She goes, let me ask Vince. So she comes out, she goes, yeah, Vince loves it. And you know what? That was like a hallmark for me. I know it sounds corny to say it, but I swear to God, man, the first time I came out in that scooter, I came in the back, every single person came up to me. I mean, literally from Hunter and Sean down the line were like, that's awesome. And they got it. And then even like bringing the gym bag to the ring, I had my wedding ring on one night, and I didn't have a place to put it, so I threw my gym bag, and I wound up bringing it to the gorilla position, and I had my wallet in there too. So I'm like, well, I'm not leaving this back here. I'm just bringing it to the ring. So I brought the gym bag to the ring with me, and then it was a dark match against Shelton. And at the end of the night, Vince comes up to me. He goes, who told you to bring a gym bag to ringside? I said, nobody. I just did it. And he goes, I love it. He goes, I really wish more people would take chances. He goes, you know what's right, you know what's wrong. If you have a question, you would ask somebody. You've been doing this long enough. And he goes, just do what you do. Wow. And I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, I got pulled back a couple times on what I could do in the ring. As far as, your character wouldn't do that. An agent would say, hey, your character would do that. When you were in ECW, you might do that, but you wouldn't do that here. But as far as character, gimmick, ideas, all that kind of stuff, man, they gave me a ton of leeway, bro. I never had a script to really read from. I had bullet points, but I used to be, if I had like a 5-minute match on Velocity, I'd say, hey, look, I only need 3 minutes for this match. Can I do a 2-minute promo? And if you guys think about it, I was there for a little over 2.5 years. Right. I think I was on TV every week, and every week I had the microphone.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of guys who've been in that company. I don't want to name names. 5, 6, 7 years, guys that were there 2 or 3 years, and you don't even know they were even in the company because they never got over and they never got the mic. I'm not saying they couldn't talk, but they never got the chance. So, I got to admit, they gave me there's a lot more leeway than what people think.
I think that's probably why a lot of people remember the Simon D character so well, is that maybe it came from you rather than being something that was manufactured. Like a lot of people are saying right now, we had a big discussion a few weeks ago on the show where apparently, and maybe you could vouch or deny this, a lot of the promos are being written basically word for word. And they're telling them to go out there, and obviously they may be giving them a little leeway to make it their own, but for the most part, they know exactly what they want, and they're not really giving them the freedom of, go out there and do it. They're kind of saying, this is what you're going to say. Is that true? And do you think that
I don't think a lot of guys can. I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't know what they're working on. Well, but I've seen a lot of guys try to talk, and it's just like, oh, my God. You're like, this is terrible. You don't want to hear it. It just sounds bad. And I think until you show that you can run with the ball, or you can talk, or you can, really show that you can string sentences together and capture. It's not easy to go out in front of talk people 2-3 minutes or a minute and make bullet points and have something good on, to talk about. A lot of people can't do it. So I think a lot of the guys are getting their promos scripted, but they don't. As long as you go out there and make your bullet points and get your point across, and you can have some good diction about you, I don't think anybody's going to break your legs. I mean, you just got to be able to show you can go out there and do it. I don't think a lot of guys can. I mean, it's not a knock on anybody, but let's be honest. I mean, you guys have probably seen a lot of times people out there talking, you're scratching your head, you're like, eh. But unfortunately, it's kind of like a lot of guys have to learn on the job now, There's nowhere else to practice it, kind of. So
it sounds like bad acting a lot of the time.
Yeah, a lot of it's really painful, man. I mean, holy shit. Some of the days I've watched a couple of the shows, and I see it, and I say, oh, my God. I say, if it was me, if that's your weak point, guess what, man? Take an acting class.
Yeah.
Sit in front of the mirror. Tape yourself. Talk to yourself. Talk to your spouse. I mean, I used to remember, and if you guys remember, I wasn't a promo guy in ECW.
No,
I don't
really.
think I ever got to do promos in ECW.
Except for the Pulp Fiction stuff at the end, like you said.
A little bit, but I never got to do them. Paul just never really scripted me to do any, and I wasn't ready to do them probably anyway. But when I got to OVW and Cornette, the way he would put me as a heel down there, I just took off after that. And I remember after the first month, I remember Danny Davis saying to me, I can't believe you were ever a babyface. And then, there was always like little snide, there's always somebody who doesn't want to see you succeed or some bullshit or something.
Why would he have said that, though? Why did he say that he can't believe you're a babyface?
Oh, because I was so good as a heel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Talking and getting heat in front of people. He was like, I can't believe you're a babyface. He's like, you're just so natural for you. I was like, Danny was very instrumental in helping me out getting a shot. But, there's always that people who, if they don't push for you, if you're not labeled as one of their guys, they're always going to be there to nitpick you and destroy you and tear you down, which I always hated about wrestling. But, there was always that, too, until Vince himself came down and saw me. It was like, I'll never forget it when he came out and we had the matches and he saw me doing the Simon Dean thing and he went to Jim Cornette because they were trying to get me called up forever. And then there was always one or two guys on a creative team that were just, kind of pieces of shit and just always kind of, Bucci sucks, we don't want him, he can't do this. And then Vince came down, and at the end of the day, I remember I was sitting right there, and he told Jimmy and Danny, he's the guy I was most impressed with today. Everybody here, he is the most impressive guy you have. I can't wait to start him. And I was on literally filming vignettes 2 weeks later.
Excellent.
So I do believe if you're good enough and you believe in yourself and really get your shit together, you can have a shot no matter who's trying to keep you down. You can't always beat those people if they're still hanging around, but you can at least get a shot. So
now we know that it's a work, and obviously, we're not fools or anything like that. So wins and losses don't really count or matter. But it would have been nice to see the character that everybody seemed to hate actually get a push and get it. I know you got used on TV, but maybe get a successful run to even make you even more over. Did you? Think
I never understood it. Yeah.
And then no idea why they just pretty much used you as fodder?
It literally, and this is what, I can point out some examples. I really do believe when you first go to WWE, after a little bit, whether it's people behind the scenes bashing you or just saying, well, just put him as this, or you just good at something, or, see, my niche was getting people over. I mean, they could have sent me out there first and then sent out Chris DeJoseph, the writer, or John Carl, or Dave Lagana, or anybody, I don't care who it was, they would have got a cheer against me. I think, Bradshaw used to go out on SmackDown every week, and the people would chant, you suck at him and all that, but he's, the top guy, main eventer, great heel, ton of heat. I honestly think I was one of the only guys on the show that went out there every single week and had the whole arena chanting, Simon sucks, or you suck, every single time. And I say to people, they want to bash it, and I'll say, well, don't believe me if you don't want, I don't really give a shit. I'm waking up tomorrow and going to work. You can turn on YouTube and listen to the videos yourself. I mean, they're on there. You can see it. That's the greatest thing about my career is that it's all on video. and CD, and you can see all this, and you can hear it for yourself, and you guys know. I actually brought it up a couple times, and I would say, look, just give me a couple wins here or there, just so when somebody of a bigger name beats me, it actually means something. Because at this point, when I would go to the ring, I remember, I think I would need a machete or a shotgun, and I would probably hit somebody in the head with it, and they still would think, oh, well, somehow Simon's still going to lose. And I kind of worried about that for the first, year and a half, and then, on Raw, the first year or so. And then, honestly, dude, once, I hate to say it, but once I got to SmackDown and I kind of saw how it was going to be, and I was definitely going to be used as a guy who got other people over. I mean, you can look at what I did. I mean, when we had the draft, I think I had Booker T's first match on SmackDown when he got drafted, Matt Hardy's first match, Tatanka's debut match, not to mention, Vito in the dress, his first match, a Boogeyman's first, Bobby Lashley's first. I mean, that's what my role in the company was, and to them it was valuable to have a guy like that. And I remember, going over a match with Vito one time, and we had some discussions about how it should go, and even though we did it on the house shows all weekend, everybody said it was fantastic, and that's why we were doing it on TV. Vito wanted to change up some stuff, which is cool, but Vince came over and looked right at him and said, Vito, you don't have to change anything. This guy's bulletproof. I wish I had 10 more heels like him. He sells everything that you do to him. He's fantastic. Do whatever he tells you to do. And it's just, you hear that, and, it's a huge vote of confidence, but in the back of your mind you're saying, man, just give me something, just to, I don't know, cheer me up, make me feel better. But, I got a raise. It was other stuff, here and there. I had good jobs. I'm sure I'd still be there today if I wanted to be. But I don't know, man. It's just, it's a great mystery. People ask me that all the time. They ask me, how come they didn't more with you? I say, I don't know.
Ironically,
I can say that for a lot of guys.
Ironically enough, even though this is kind of a pre-taped and we're kind of in the background, there's actually somebody trying to call in. Sure. From the 615 area code, are you there?
Hey, yeah, how you doing?
All right, welcome. I think you're calling from Nashville, somewhere around that area?
Yeah, I'm in Nashville, yeah. This is a guy from the Weekly Shooter. I do another show on Sundays. But I just had a question I wanted to ask. Now, Simon, you got released from WWE, correct?
Yes. Kind of, yes. I mean, I quit as a talent, and I took the talent relations job, and then I was there for about a year.
Oh, okay. I was just kind of curious how that goes, how somebody's released, and how that works. Because I hear a lot of guys getting released, but you never know the background story on it.
Everybody's different. I mean, I never got an exact answer why. I mean, honestly, here's the long and short of it. First of all, I love WWF. It was fantastic. I loved being there. I'm not going back. I mean, I haven't even tried to. I don't really wrestle anymore. So I have nothing but good things to say about it. I write loans for a living full time. Every customer I talk to, they all know what I used to do. I tell them. I mean, we love it. I still do. I couldn't be thankful enough. Everything I have in life is from wrestling. I even met my wife, coincidentally one time through wrestling. So I'm thankful for that.
You and me both.
But with WWE, I was doing the developmental thing. When I tell you, arduously, without a doubt, it was probably the worst year of my life. John Laurinaitis is a great guy. I loved working with John. It was cool working in the office. I got to work with Howard Finkel, Carano. Ty Bailey was a great guy. But, man, holy shit, you talk about every dagger and every bullet that could come from every single jealous MFer in the world came at me, even though I really tried to do my best at that job. And I think if you ask the guys when I was doing it or ask them now what they thought, I think they would all kind of say, man, we wish Nova was back there. But I was in it, and I just had so many people constantly bashing me. And even John would say, man, this guy hates you, and this guy hates you. There's always somebody on the main roster who was bitching, It was just jealousy, man. There's a lot of guys that were jealous I got a shot to do something. I mean, I was handpicked for that job. I didn't ask for it. And but I took it because I got tired of being treated like shit on SmackDown.
This is unbelievable. So, we're not even, this isn't advertised. This is just like a behind-the-scenes show. And we have another caller. Now, I'm a little bit more nervous about this because they're calling from a Skype program, which means that they're blocked. So if this turns out to be a prank, we'll just cut it. But are you there with us, caller, from whatever internet program you're using?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a question for Simon Dean?
Yes. I just want to know if he knows when Tommy Dreamer is going to be back at the Greensboro Coliseum.
Probably when WWF runs there again. I don't know what Tommy's going to do after June.
Exactly.
His contract's coming up. I have no idea. I mean, Tommy's one of my best friends in the world. He always will be. But I don't know if there's a show and his name is booked on it, he'll be there. But I don't know when is WWE he's supposed to come back there. I have no idea.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we're going to get back to our questions. That's actually unbelievable because, like I said, we're recording this a night early, and this isn't advertised.
What I was saying, what my deal was, they just you know, it's just one thing after another, man. I think it was, I mean, I don't want to say an easy out, but it kind of was. They had that stupid, I mean, I left wrestling completely. So about 3 months after I left wrestling, I had a friend of mine who does hormone replacement therapy. He's a doctor. I mean, the whole thing. So we talked about it. I was 34 years old. I felt like crap. I want to get testosterone. So how do you do this legally? So I got blood work. Let me tell you, it's 10 times more expensive to do anything legally than it ever is illegal. It cost me a lot of money. I had to get blood work done and test the whole bit. Got it done, ordered the stuff from him. I don't know where he, you know, I guess he gets shit from Florida. I got tested probably 6 times in 2.5 years of talent. Never failed anything. Didn't have that stupid, you know, my levels are high or enzyme. None of that bullshit. Clean as a whistle. I mean, I didn't really look like a shredded bodybuilder. I was in shape, but let's be honest. And about 3 or 4 months after I left wrestling, I get to my testosterone, and then like a year after that, some stupid list comes out, says I was a client at Signature Pharmacy, blah blah. And if you notice,
oh my God,
they never had my name on there as anything that I took or anything like that. They couldn't. There was no record of anything I took. It just said that I had been a client of theirs. So I don't even know where Signature Pharmacy was. I have no idea. It's in Florida somewhere. I don't know where it is. I never got the answer for it. Mm-hmm. And even though I had everything showing that I had taken, you know, went to a doctor, I got prescriptions in Louisville, the whole bit, nobody else really wanted to see it. And I think it was like just a mutual thing, like, all right, this came up, we got to get rid of him. He's the head of developmental, looks bad, whatever.
Mm. Do you think a lot of people on those lists were kind of used as scapegoats? Because I know Booker T felt that way as well.
Yeah, I thought it was stupid. I mean, because I know I was no longer a wrestler. I was a normal citizen. I can, you know, probably come up with at least half a dozen scenarios where I've seen things 10 times worse since then, before then, whatever, where nobody really, like, nothing happened to them. But it was, I mean, literally, I swear on my marriage to God, whatever you want me to swear on, that happened on a Friday night. Saturday morning, I woke up. I flew back to Louisville, Kentucky. It was Friday night, the Friday afternoon that happened. John called, I got to let you go. I said, all right, no problem, man. Friday night, me and my wife went to the office of the Connecticut apartment we were living. We put in our thing to leave the apartment as soon as we could. Saturday morning, I woke up, flew back to Louisville, worked on my deck. It was Labor Day weekend. Stayed in my deck here because I kept my house. I had renters in it. Came back to 2 days after that, went back to Connecticut. Spent a week at my friend Andrew's at his brokerage house down in Jersey, getting tested out for my license. 2 weeks after that, we packed up the moving truck, moved back to Louisville, Kentucky, and I've been writing loans ever since. I mean, I literally, 3 days after I left WWE, I was already a whole new, because I was already writing mortgages and doing loans part-time before that. Because, you know, again, at 34 years old, I walked away from the ring full-time. And people, they forget that. They saw he left, and I said, well, yeah, I left what was I going to do with it? I always say, what do you think I was going to do? Like, do the talent relations job for 3 or 4 or 5 years and then go back and wrestle again or something? I mean, I was so disappointed and disenfranchised at that point. I was like, this is it. I wanted to get some experience in a major company in the executive sense. And I told him that when I took the job. I said, I plan on doing this for about 2 or 3 years, and I'm leaving and going to do something else. And it was always, okay. I never planned on being a lifer. I don't know if that upsets anybody, but 17 years, man. I don't know. I had no envisionment of ever being there for 20, 25 years.
Excellent. I mean, most people do.
Well,
yeah, they do, because
career. I have a question about Bobby Lashley. You mentioned him earlier. He was obviously somebody that the WWE was very high on, and they pushed him very heavily. But the only time where I truly felt like he had potential to be a main event star was, ironically enough, when he worked with you early on in his career. What was it like working with Bobby, and did they give you any specific instructions on how to get him over?
Great question, man. I'll tell you this point blank. If you guys ever get a chance to interview Bobby, too, he'll tell you this exact same story. Bobby's a good friend of mine. I just saw him at the online support. Bobby 100% in every decision he makes. He's a good husband to his wife. He's a great father. He's an awesome human being. He's just a great guy. And, you know, he's not sitting next to me. So I'm saying this with him sitting somewhere in Colorado training to fight Bob Sapp.
Right.
But Bobby came down to OVW, was training down here. They had him pegged from the beginning. I remember talking to Briscoe about him. So I hit it off with Bobby. We were friendly. Again, me being the go-to guy in the company. I was in on SmackDown. I think Val Venus was kind of in on Raw. I was training with Bobby a lot down in OVW, helping him out. Because at that point in the OVW system, I don't think the training was kind of what it was when I was just training with Danny and Al. I'm sorry, Danny and Robert. I'm sorry, Danny and Jimmy. It was just a different regime. So Bobby needed some catch-up. So they referred to as getting married to somebody, but I was married to Bobby for the first, month that he was booked on WB shows for them to see him. And the night of his debut, I had wrestled him all weekend long. They had the agents meeting on Monday, on Tuesday afternoon, and they came out of the meeting, and Dean Malenko comes over, and they said, he goes, Vince was asking, how it went this weekend with Bobby. And, apparently everybody said, well, he had Simon, and it was fantastic. Simon did a great job with him. It was awesome. So Vince comes up to me and goes, I want to see you versus Bobby tonight in a dark match. I said, all right, whatever you want to do. He said to me, just do your thing. I said, okay. So then, an hour later, he comes over and goes, we're actually going to put that on Velocity. I said, okay, cool. And then he comes up to me an hour later. He goes, you know what? I thought about it. Nothing's going to go wrong with you out there. He goes, the hell with it. Let's put him on TV tonight. Debut him tonight. So I went to Bobby, and this is a true story. Bobby will tell you this. When you got to go on the road with WWE full time, and you got to graduate from developmental, they let you move home, so you don't have to stay in Louisville anymore. So Bobby just had a baby 3 months before this. So his little baby was sitting at home in Colorado, and this guy's busting his ass in Louisville, and he's getting some road shots. So I went up to him and I said, look, let me do my thing tonight, bro. Let's go out there and tear this shit up. Listen to me. I got some great ideas. Let me do my thing. And at the end of this night, I think they're going to mark out for you big time because, you know what the guys are looking for. They're all going to run backstage like, oh, my God, this guy's fantastic. I said, let's smoke screen him, Bobby. Let's let them kiss your ass big time tonight. So at the end of this night, John will probably look at you and say, Bobby, start making plans to move home. And his debut went so good that we actually got the pay-per-view match out of it, too. And then, right at that time, Bobby said, they told Bobby he can go back to Colorado. And, I know he had some feuds after that. He had some good stuff with Fit. He did some other stuff, the WrestleMania stuff. But you know what? I take my hat off a little bit for that one, man. I had a lot of people came up to me and said that they thought the most entertaining they ever saw Bobby and the best he ever did was against me.
Absolutely.
I take a lot of pride in that.
He looked like he could have been the WWE's version of Goldberg because he just, I remember specifically push-up spot he did, where he's kind of just picking up.
The push-up thing, yep. That's, again, not for nothing. I mean, it's, even though Bobby would have done anything, that's my idea. That was my creation, my idea. Yep. Me sitting around late at night thinking, how am I going to get this guy over? What am I going to do with him? So many different ideas how I can work my gimmick and incorporate his, and that's missing today, guys. Absolutely. I mean, not for nothing. You got some guys up there that couldn't spell wrestling if I spotted them 7 letters. And they just, even if they think of the ideas and the spots to come up with, it's usually just how to get themselves over. I think I was one of the rare, and there's a couple guys left, but one of the rare guys who would actually think of ways to get other guys over and how to work for the match and make it memorable. And, me and Bobby were talking about last time I saw him, and I just, I don't know what went wrong. I mean, I have an inkling, but I just think that, whatever makes Bobby the happiest he's going to go do, and I hope the guy makes $1 zillion in UFC. He's a great guy, and I hate to say it, but I think it was definitely WWE's loss on that one because and there's another guy, the Brocks, all these guys who you don't replace them, man. I mean, you don't replace a Bobby Lashley with a, I don't know. I don't even know who the hell's in developmental. I mean, anybody can walk off the street, an actor, an athlete, a football. I don't know what. I mean, it's not Ty's fault or anybody else's fault who drafts these guys. It's just the guys get chances. When you go to developmental, all you're getting is a chance.
Yep.
You're getting a contract for a chance. And I think too many guys kick their feet back and they're like, all right, man, I'm a star. Here I am. When do I get called up? And that was the trap that I saw when I was the head developmental and I was running it. That was my biggest problem with a lot of the lazy sons of bitches who were sitting in Louisville and Deep South sometimes who just wanted to sit on their ass and do nothing. And I would literally just go party every night. I mean, you had some people who would literally go party every single night.
And did those guys ever make it to WWE?
Well, go figure. They, I think there's maybe there was a good 10 or 12 of them who went out. I don't mean they went out once or twice a week. I mean, these guys went out every night. Even when they did shows in E-Town or 45 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, like London, Kentucky's 2 hours from Louisville, 3 hours. They get back 2 in the morning. They get changed and go running down to 4th Street. And this crew would do this 5 or 6 nights a week. And I think out of the 10 or 12 of them, there's 1 or 2 left clinging on to the roster, but they're on life support, and they probably won't even be there much longer. I mean, they're there, but they don't do anything. They kind of go walking out and stand there, just do nothing. You know what I mean? So, Is that really being there? I'd rather not be there if that was the case.
Wow.
If I'm there, I want to contribute. I don't want to sit there like a hump and steal money. I mean, those people should wear a mask when they cash their check every week at the bank because they're stealing it. Seriously.
Wow.
So it's just, I don't know. I just saw a lot of lazy people, man, and I think this comes from being given something too easy. That goes back to what we talked about before, ECW work ethic, ECW mentality,
right.
Earning your stripes. And I'm sorry, man, nobody's going to tell me that some guy sitting on his ass weren't buying shots and hanging out really wants it, especially when they were only practicing like an hour and a half a day and doing some goofy drills and some bullshit that they didn't really learn from because they still sucked. When I'd watch them wrestle, I mean, I would come down here once a month, and some of these guys I would watch wrestle, and I never considered myself to be a great wrestler. I think I was pretty good, but I actually got worse. When I would come down here and watch some of these guys wrestle, I honestly got worse. Like, my skill level would actually leave my body because I had to watch these people wrestle. And it was so uninspired and just so terrible. I'd say, Jesus Christ. I said, don't these people, man, you're a wrestler, man. You get to go out there and do this stuff, you get paid for it. When I was in OVW, we would train, no lie, Rip Rogers was the best with Dr.
I love
Tom.
Rip Rogers, by the way.
He's awesome. And that guy, I owe him a lot, man. He took good care of me. And Dr. Tom was awesome. And, you know, we would be training, I swear to God, dude, we would literally train from 8 a.m. to like 1 in the afternoon, doing matches and chain wrestling drills and all this stuff. And then I would come down and watch some of the, you know, I guess the workouts when I was in charge and the way the training was run then. I mean, these guys would literally do some goofy drills, man-in-the-middle drills and other bullshit and this and that, and they sucked. And they were uninspired, and their wrestling was lazy, and it was just, I would just shake my head and be like, God, these guys aren't even going to see it coming. They're not even going to see it coming when they get fired. And they're going to stand up and blame everybody else instead of blaming themselves.
Now, when
I would tell them, look, when you want to blame somebody, use your thumbs to blame someone, because your thumb's going to point at yourself. And do that. And nobody ever wanted to do that, man.
Wow. Now, you've seen wrestling from all sides of the fence, and it sounds like you've got more disenfranchised down at the developmentals, and you said on the phone the other day that your last year there was kind of your falling out of love with things. And would you say that was your last year on TV or just your last year actually working there?
Well, once I got to SmackDown, I kind of knew what the deal was. I mean, I remember after doing the stuff with Lashley, Michael Hayes coming up to me and saying, look, Vince loves what you do. We're going to give you some guys, blah, blah, blah. And then I got the Gemini after that, and they were awesome. I love the Shanes. They're great guys. Mm-hmm. They were underutilized as far as I'm concerned. They should have got a lot more than they got. They were two big kick-ass sons of bitches, and they were good. And but, you know, after a while, it just started to drag on me. So with the developmental thing, Tommy Dreamer is stepping down to go to ECW. Tommy never wanted to be in an office position anyway. He hated it. So Johnny came to me. He knew I knew the system. I knew talent, and I worked pretty hard at it. And it'd be really hard for developmental talent to try to get over on me because I'd already been where they had been times 10. So, and plus I had a college degree. I was organized. You know, I was pretty efficient. So John went to Vince, and they discussed it, and they came up with, you know, me to do it. So that's why I took the job. I didn't want to stay on SmackDown anymore. I grew to hate it. I just grew to hate a lot of there was also a couple guys backstage that, man, I just, you know, I hate using this word, but I fucking hated them. I hated being around them. I hated walking around them. I just hated the sight of it. It really would make me just like, I swear to God, want to throw up and bomb. And a lot of those guys ain't there anymore in one way, shape, form, or another, and I just dreaded seeing them. So I went to the office instead. And, you know, just, I grew disenfranchised with the laziness of it. You know, I feel bad for a lot of independent guys who are out there busting ass, putting miles on their tires. You know, guys like the Claudio Casagnolis, Pat Buck down in OVW now who's training on his own dime, JD. I mean, a lot of guys who train really hard, and then there's just, man, I tell you, when I was in that developmental system, bro, there were some guys who were sitting in OVW in Deep South who literally thought the sun rose and set on everything they did, and these are some lazy sons of bitches who sucked. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one thing if you can go when the lights are on and it's showtime. All right, if you don't want to take a bump here, practice real hard there, that's cool, man. But I came from the mentality and the work ethic that you practice like you play. And if, you know, Shawn Michaels did that, Hunter did that, Undertaker, the guys who were really good were fans. They worked hard, they trained hard, and I can't get into all those stories, man, because we'd be here for 3 days, or me telling you about the things that drove me nuts, from me giving these guys history reports not want to do it. When I gave them Eddie Guerrero's book and asked them to read Eddie's life story, and I'd come back and, ask them, hey, write me a paragraph about what you got out of Eddie's book. That was all my stuff. I don't know if you guys, I used to give people, when I hired you, WWF hired you, I should say, we used to give you an assignment. There was 100 names on this list, and you should learn a little about each one of these names and why they were important to the industry. I felt you should have a sense of history of the business, yeah. And these jerk-offs would cut and paste and copy each other's stuff and not even care about it. I came down and gave him Eddie's book. Eddie was my friend, and I thought you should learn from Eddie, so I gave them his audit. I'm actually having to beg these people to read Eddie Guerrero's book. So they read Eddie's book, and I come down and make them write a paragraph of what they learned. This one nitwit, this girl who's on Raw right now, she's an idiot, but she wrote in her paragraph, I'll never forget it, she wrote, I learned that Eddie Guerrero was a really good wrestler, and he was part of the Guerrero family. What else? I learned he was a really good wrestler, and he was part of the Guerrero family. He died very young. That was what she learned from Eddie Guerrero. I was like, are you kidding me? And then I found out she didn't read the book. I remember when the Four Horsemen DVD game came out, I was all geeked up about it, all psyched, and I go down to OVW, I think it was OVW, and I'm like, hey, man, how many people here went out and picked up the new Four Horsemen DVD? It's fantastic. I think 3 people raised their hand out of 30-something. I'm like, oh, are you guys nuts? Dr. Death went down one time, and he brought down his book. And
that's big.
He gave them the book, and Doc is a great guy. I love Doc. I used to help Doc down and get him booked in OVW and in Deep South, and I would handle all Doc's travel, his car, his hotel, getting him paid, everything. And it was a true honor for me to do that, because I never lost sight that, look, Mamma Jammer, this is Dr. effing Death. This isn't some scrub who wrestled in Arkansas and taught himself how to bump. This is the man. So respect him. These guys didn't. He went down there and gave them all the copies of the book, and he told them, I'll be back in 30 days. I'm going to give you a test. So wouldn't you, if you were sitting down there saying to yourself, look, I'm going to become an expert on this man. Because instead of me sitting here bitching about never getting pulled out of developmental, let me try to help my own cause. And believe me, those little things add up. Because I would have said, hey, maybe, I'll do really good in the test and Nova will hear about it and, put a good word in for me, or just something like that. I think out of the 35 people that took the test, I think Aaron Stevens passed the test, Virgil passed the test, Chet Jablonski, 2 or 3 other guys who I actually happened to be friendly with and liked them outside of wrestling. And, lo and behold, I'm like, you know what, I guess I put my faith in the right people because they didn't let me down. And then all these other jerk-offs who were constantly crying about not getting called up and not getting a shot, blah, blah, blah. They failed miserably.
Oh, my God.
It was so disgusting,
Yeah.
See, Dr. Death is such a scary guy. I wouldn't want to fail a test that he gives me.
And he was heartbroken by it. Let me tell you, this is a tough son of a bitch who's fight. I wish him all the best in his fight with cancer, the whole bit. And I miss talking to Doc. But I'll tell you what, man, as tough as that guy is, I'm telling you this man to phone right now that dude was hurt inside when he saw a bunch of young trainees not even give a shit about his life story and disrespect him and fail his test. I'll never forget when I had to call him and apologize, because I called each one of the people that failed the test and healed the shit out of them and told them they were worthless, and I wanted to fire them right on the spot. But that wasn't my call, it's Sean's. I never fired anybody. That's a misconception, too. I had to call people and tell them they were fired, but I never fired anyone, and I never hired anybody. I could recommend. I recommended that we hire an undiscovered and unknown Kofi Kingston. So I got Kofi hired.
Yeah.
I got Santino Marella hired. I got, after pitching him for about 2 months and nobody wanted to hire him, I got Seidel hired, Matt Bourne, or whatever, Evan Bourne. Yep. So, I live on and I still hear from the guys, and they always text me a big match. Oh, thanks again for hiring me, the whole bit. I could be a Natty Neidhart, I helped get hired.
She's incredible.
DiBiase Jr., TJ, I helped TJ get hired. But,
and you're talking about all the guys that anybody gets excited about right now, too.
Yeah, go figure.
Exactly.
But there's also a bunch of goofs who got hired, and they've come up, and they were in and out in, 6 months, and they're not even there anymore, so whatever. But, that's a misconception. I never fired them, but there was actually, there was a couple guys who, of course, deserved to get fired. I thought they were lazy and they were the shit. There's only, I can think off the top of my head, maybe 2 people who I had to fire that I literally sat around staring at the wall for hours when I had to fire them because I didn't want to fire them.
Who's that? You don't mind me asking.
Absolutely 100%. Inferno Kid, number one.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Danny Inferno, Dan Germondo, had to get fired. He got a raw deal. He shouldn't have been fired. I didn't think he got enough of a chance to show what he could do. He was a part of my Jersey crew, which was a fantastic gimmick that we used to do in OVW, with me, Idol Stevens, and Trudy, and her, and Danny Inferno. I had to call Inferno and let him go. They just decided they had nothing for him. And I remember sitting with Idol in a Penn Station sub saying, how the hell am I going to call this guy? I've known him for 12 years. I'm his boss. I got to fire. And he took it really well. He's like, I know it ain't you, Nova, but, man, that tore my soul out of my body to fire that guy. And number two, and I still will say this to this day, I think it was a huge mistake for them to fire her, Angel Williams in TNA. I'll never forget when
they sent, now, so yeah.
Dude, they sent her to TV like 5 times to start her, and each time it fell through, and they didn't start her. And they were going to send her to TV to do some kind of like high school gimmick or something with Matt Stryker and Knox and Nykerk and all them, and it fell through, and she comes back, and she just moved to OVW literally, like a week before this. And it was like, hey, you got to fire her. I'm like, what are you talking about? She just moved. They're like, no, they got nothing for her. Oh, man. I had to call her, and she, was hysterical on the telephone. I felt so bad for her, and she knows that. I think she's doing great, but there's no way on earth she should have been fired. She had a lot to offer. She could talk. She was good. Nah, wow. I totally disagree with that. Absolutely should have been fired.
I don't know if you watch TNA, but she's the women's champion right now.
Could be happier for her. She deserves it. I like Angel, always did, ever since the days of Scott Warren. She kept saying to me on telephone, Nova, you're ribbing me. There's no way they're going to fire me, Nova. I just moved here. And I kept saying, I wish I was, But I saved her. I'm not going to get into who I saved, but I definitely saved 1 or 2 people's jobs. And I can, there's one guy who, he's on the main roster now. He knows that, he's one of my best friends, and we talk about it all the time. And I'm glad I did, because I know he would have been fired if I wasn't in that position. That's kind of cool.
Excellent.
But I don't know. There's just so many worthless, lazy people that I would just shake my head and say, you have no idea the opportunity. And they all want to, they all want to blame Ty Bailey. Like, Ty Bailey's the ghost of the machine. Now, he always gets his name dragged through the mud. Ty's a father. He's a businessman. He works hard at his job, and their argument is always, well, Ty Bailey never wrestled. He doesn't know anything about talent. And I say, well, he doesn't have to. He gives opportunity. And he hires you and sends you to Florida. If you fuck it up, that's on you. That's not on Ty. Ty's sitting in Connecticut, finding other people to replace you if you screw it up. So, why is it Ty's fault? I mean, if you wrestle and if you're on the independents or you have something you want to show, hey, man, they run those camps a couple times a year, so get off your ass and fly down there or send in your tapes, do what you got to do, and get yourself noticed. Mm-hmm. If you want it bad enough, you're going to be noticed.
Don't worry about that. We're pre-taping this, so it'll keep supporting.
There's that goofy Adam Lambert kid who was just on American Idol, who apparently has been trying to get in the music business for the last 10 years, moved out to L.A., did everything he could do. He's been to American Idol auditions a couple times. They never took him. This guy kept going over, and he finally got himself noticed. He got himself over.
Yeah.
So when I always scratch my head and say these people who are in the independents who, I can't get my shot or blah, blah, I say, man, you know what? If you want it bad enough, you'll figure out a way. Trust me.
Exactly, and look at what happened to him now. Now, the Queen... Don't worry about that
They
again.
just hired that one of the girls in WWE. I think she officially signed. This girl, Serena, and that girl, she moved down to OVW a couple years ago. She busted her ass. She waited tables. She worked hard. She changed her look. She got in shape. She got her work is fantastic, and they finally hired her. And when I was so happy when they hired her, because I told her, look, they couldn't deny you any longer. Sooner or later, they're going to look past all the shit. And sooner or later, if you're good, they're going to give you a shot. If nothing else, they're going to say, look, this guy sucks, Jesus, we got to get back. That's why I believe that eventually a guy like Claudio will have to go to the WWF. He has to.
He got a shot, didn't he?
He did. I was the one to hire him, bro.
Yeah,
and I still could not tell you to this day why they didn't hire. I had to hire him and to fire him like a month later. I was never told why.
That's horrible.
Because I was watching Ring of Honor. I don't watch Ring of Honor much, but I was watching the show that he was on, and he was one of the few people that I thought really stood out, not just as a wrestler, but as a character, too.
Dude, he's 6 foot something, tall, good shape. He's a good kid. I like Claudio. I have absolutely no idea. Well, I'm telling you, that kid will give you a star. There's a couple kids in OVW right now, Pat Buck and JD. Fantastic gimmick. They look like stars. They're good in the ring. Those guys should get a shot. Even though he drives me nuts, Idol Stevens,
Aaron the Idol Stevens. Aaron the Idol Stevens is 6'4", 260 pounds. Been wrestling since he was like 16 years old. He's a 10-year veteran of the business. He's 27 years old. He's down in Puerto Rico now. This guy was in developmental for 4.5 years. They threw him together with some wingnut named Casey James. Nice enough guy, but a goof. He used to drive me. He was the number one guy who used to drive me nuts when I was the head developmental system trying to be this guy's boss for reasons I will not get into. But you remember that? Remember when they had Idol Stevens and Casey with the hell's her name? The blonde-haired girl.
Michelle McCool.
Yeah, real nice. I like Michelle McCool, by the way. I'm very psyched to see her do very well. A lot of people don't know this. Michelle had a really rough time when she was in developmental. This was when I was still Simon Dean. She had personal problems, physical problems. Dude, she was like near the verge of death at one point. And she battled her way back physically to get back in shape, and I think she's doing an amazing job now. Very nice woman. But Idol, 4.5 years, they stick him in this stupid tag team. It doesn't work. They put him back in OVW for a year where he had a clash with the trainer at the time, who was Al, and it just didn't work out, and I think Aaron just got treated like shit, and he lost his confidence, and they fired him. And but Aaron Stevens could main event pay-per-views one day. Dude, he's 6'4", 260, and he's good.
Absolutely.
You don't see that anymore. You don't. A lot of guys who are good are about 5'8" and about 175 pounds.
Huh.
Let's be honest. And Aaron has the physical tools. You can't teach size and you can't teach physical gifts. Aaron's got them. So if he doesn't he should make 100 times more money in the business than I ever did. Because, it's a size game, guys. Let's be honest. It always has been and always will be. But Aaron is in Puerto Rico right now wrestling for Carly's dad, and he's doing really good. And I'm sure he'll be back there someday. They're going to have to hire him back.
Now, let's take a step back to ECW.
Yeah.
And when we first started talking almost an hour ago, so we can't thank you enough for spending so much time. You have a few more minutes for us?
Sure, as long as you need.
Great. Cool. I'd love to hear that. That's awesome. The question I have for you is, we were talking about the BWO gimmick, and something that I always found funny is that how over that got. Do you think it got over just as like a middle finger to the NWO, or why do you think that caught on as it did?
Fans made it get over. It was supposed to be a one-time goof thing we did in November to Remember, but ECW was so cutting edge and like F-you attitude and so like buck the system type deal that when they saw that, the people got it. If we had come out and tried to tell the fans that the BWO is supposed to be something cool and something big, that they would have, all right, whatever, it would have got a kind of a pop. But the fans were the ones who made it get over. I mean, how over? Dude, we're still talking about it 15 years later. I mean, let's be honest. It was 13 years later.
Yep.
And it's something that I'll be talking about 10 years from now, too. There was a time where no matter what wrestling show you turned on, you saw BWO shirts in the crowd everywhere. I mean, I remember seeing a freaking Memphis tape one time, and there was like 20 people sitting in the crowd with BWO shirts. It was huge. And it was anti-establishment. It was cool. It was hip. There was a bunch of guys having a good time. I remember when we tried. I remember God bless us, Stevie. I love Stevie Richards, a great friend. I wish he could be there at Francine's thing. He's got another commitment, though. I remember when he called me, and he was all psyched up because I guess he had talked to Lagana, and they were going to start trying to do the BWO in WWE. Mm-hmm. The first thing I said, well, I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to make sure I'm still Simon. And they were like, well, yeah, you're going to do both.
Oh, God.
Think of the crazy. And, when I was doing both of those at the same time, I could never be referred to as the same guy. Like it was said in a meeting by Vince that, no, he's Simon Dean and Hollywood Nova are two different people. So, but I knew it was going to fail miserably. We debuted the thing in San Francisco, California, making fun of Bradshaw's guys. It was Orlando and the Bashams, and even though they were great guys and they were good wrestlers, they weren't really to the level where they were kind of over, and the people even gave a shit that the people didn't care enough about those guys where they would care about us impersonating them.
Right.
So, and then we did a thing with the Mexicools, where I guess the only thing that comes out of merit of that is no one will ever understand how close I came to executing Juventud Guerrero on national television. And I can honestly say that. I mean, you know what, man? I always keep my temper in check. I don't think you guys have ever heard a tale ever of a Nova or Simon Dean attack or a shoot or beating anybody up. Man, I'm a brown belt in Krav Maga. I can handle myself. I've been studying the art for over 10 years. It's a very little known fact about me. I don't put it over, but that's the closest I ever came to actually wanting to kill somebody in the ring. He was so difficult to deal with. We had incidents with him before, And he's a nice enough guy, but he just gets caught up in his own world. And that put the coup de grace on it for me, where I was like, I fucking hate this BWO thing up here. I don't even want to do it here. I'd rather just go back to being Simon. And then we did a thing at One Night Stand where, you know, I had to put the thing on. I go out there and the whole crowd's looking at me. It wasn't the same, man. You can only capture lightning in a bottle once.
Exactly.
And we did it with BWO. I'm proud we did that, man. Are you kidding me? I can't wait to get to that arena show and have us come out and wrestle or do a dance-off, I'm sure, against the FBI that day.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You guys are pretty sure you're going to be working the FBI. Yeah,
we're wrestling the FBI. I can pretty much tell you how that one's going to go because we did it literally 100. We must have wrestled the FBI 100 times. And Guido's an awesome guy. I don't think Guido should have been fired either. Guido still has so much left to give. He's in great shape. He can still go, and he's really good, too. Guido's the kind of guy you need to have on the roster. Even if you don't push him, you keep him on the roster because you need to put guys that you're bringing up for developmental against a guy like Guido. You can't put them all against Jamie Noble. Jamie Noble's great. Yeah, you can't, but Guido could do what Jamie does. Yeah. And he's still, it's weird. Guido helps do a wrestling school up in New Jersey somewhere. I don't know where it is. But he still has something to prove, and I don't. See, that's where we're different. I'm done. I could never do it full-time again. I'd go out of my mind. I could not see myself sitting in the locker room with a guy politicking, putting a match together against a guy who was watching me, 8 to 10 years ago, who probably was calling me for a job 2.5 years ago. And I'm going to sit here with this jerk-off and argue on how a match should be put together? Come on.
Yes. Now, do you think that kind of position in a wrestling company is underestimated, that position of being kind of the talented wrestler that is used to help get younger guys over? Do you think that's something that's kind of not really done as well these days?
How important, you cannot, all these guys train developmental, learning from Kern and Dr. Tom and stuff, they're learning how to take bumps, learn how to do stuff, but until they get in front of people, and again, it goes back to our theory, unless they get in the ring with guys who are better than them, it's tough, because you got to remember, a lot of guys in WWE who they're trying to do some stuff with right now, Morrison, Miz, Kofi's, MVPs, all these guys, they've only been wrestling, 5, 6, 7 years, if that, so they're still learning themselves. Right. So unless Shawn and Taker and Triple H and Fit and Ray and all these guys have a couple months to clear up on their schedules, you need to have a couple guys like Val Venus was and Scotty Tuhati that you can stick a developmental guy in the ring with, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre. I actually hired Drew McIntyre, too. I hired Drew McIntyre, Stu Sanders, a bunch of those guys from England. I found them on the Internet. Sheamus, I hired Sheamus. I digress. But you need to have somebody stick those guys. That's what it is what it is, but that's what a Simon Dean is really good for. Hey, Simon, we're sticking against so-and-so. Go 10 minutes. I had the Boogeyman on house shows, and I remember them saying, the hell with the Boogeyman shit tonight. Get him in the ring and make him wrestle, which was impossible, and it didn't really work. But Marty's a great guy, and he tried really. I'll tell you what, if somebody could become a world champion with trying hard, Marty would have been world champion.
Exactly.
Because that guy tried really hard.
He tried, absolutely. And you could see that he was trying.
I think a combination of getting into it late and just being banged up and having bad luck. But Marty Wright is a great human being, very religious man, nice man, and he trained hard, bro. That guy would work up a sweat every day and do what he had to do, but, just didn't work out. I don't know what he's doing now, so.
Yeah, he did start late, though. I think if he would have started 10 years prior.
Great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, still in ECW, Chris Chetty was one of your tag partners, and you guys had some real great tag matches. Whatever happened to Chetty? Because he seemed to drop off the planet.
Well, it's kind of weird. Chetty, it's funny you mention that. Chetty, he got out of wrestling full-time when he had he had a real bad back surgery.
Right.
And when he had the surgery, the rehab, the whole bit, one of the gifts that he got from ECW when it went under was apparently someone had told the insurance companies that, Chris didn't get hurt in the ring. He got hurt outside of the ring. We're not paying for that. So Chris literally got stuck with tens of thousands of dollars in medical bills, rehab bills, all that stuff. His wrestling career went on the back burner. Chris is a proud father of 5 kids.
Oh, wow.
Chris is one of my best friends. The Chettys just bought their first house out in Long Island about 3 months ago, and I actually wrote the loan on his house.
Awesome.
So when we were sitting there talking about it, we're like, dude, how weird is this that we were tag partners? I went there for the closing, the whole bit, and I went there. I got Chris booked on the autograph signing that we did in Allentown. And he's not going to do Franny's thing, I don't think, because he can't. But when somebody else has something bigger, I think Shane Douglas talked about something or somebody else later on down the line, I'll do one last one, and I'll do it with him as my tab. We were a great team. I'll tell you what, man, this ain't a braggadocious statement, bro. I think at that time, when me and Chetty were together and we were clicking on all cylinders, I think we were the best team in the world. I mean, it sounds corny to say that, bro, but when you look at that time period and line up of other teams, you're talking about a pure wrestling tag team, I really think we were the best team in the world.
And going back to that, when everybody's saying, oh, ECW is just chairs and tables and everything, whatever, when you talk about that, you forget about the Shane Douglases who didn't do that stuff. Yourselves, you didn't do that stuff very much. You did a lot of high fly, but you didn't do the tables.
We were fantastic, man. We were on all cylinders, had great tag matches against the Baldies, Danny and Roadkill, CW and Bill Wiles, very underestimated workers there, good guys. I mean, I typed in the YouTube thing and I saw some stuff there. I saw a match against me versus Bill Wesley, and I was blown away. And CW, I was like, wow, man, we were really a good team. And you just do not see anything like that anymore. You see a lot of tag team matches. One guy starts, the other guy comes in, blah, blah. I mean, me and Chetty were like a machine, man. It's just our harmony and how we did stuff. And we took a lot of pride in our work. And Chris could have been a big star, but his career was cut a little bit short because of injuries. He had to go get money for his family and then do the right thing and all that. He doesn't regret it. He's got 6 reasons with his wife not to regret it. But Chris is an awesome guy. I mean, honestly, it's 14 years later, I still talk to him all the time. We'll be friends for life. Awesome. And, you can't say that about a lot of people in wrestling. There's a whole shitload of people I wish I could never even have cross my mind again. I can't stand them. But I don't know why that is, too, man. I don't know why wrestling just seems to attract so many derelicts and losers. Like, I had a really rough day on Friday. I'll give you an example, man. You guys will crack up at this shit.
Okay.
Swear to God. And I write loans for a living, doing a couple of years. I work at Diversified Mortgage Services, a great place. I'm totally over in the company. I love the owners. I hang out with them. We went to a derby together. The guys are great. I've been there for 7 months at this company. Not one day have I ever went to work and talked to somebody and walked away and wondered that that person was going to go run to somebody else and call me a piece of shit or something like that. I had a loan to close on Friday in Georgia. It was a pain in the ass. We finally got it done. It was a nightmare. The bar was really cool afterwards. He was thanking me afterwards, even though his rate got bumped up. It was, it was just a mess. But we got it done. I didn't have to worry about coming home and clicking on mortgageboards.com and reading that I had heat with a borrower because his loan got messed up. Or I didn't have to read some anonymous posting that I didn't shake somebody's hand at a closing or something like that. Or I didn't want to drink with it's just weird, man. It's just there's people would always tell me, oh, that's how it is in the real world. So what are you, fucking nuts? This is nothing like that. There's so many little idiosyncrasies and nuances that happen with some of the most insecure, paranoid people I've ever met that just do not happen in any way, shape, or form in any other profession.
I always say we do a booking site now. We do WrestleBookings.com, and we was for the first few months of doing it, there was so much drama that I basically said, look, if you need to contact me, you'll contact me regarding a booking. Otherwise, leave me the hell alone.
Drama. Like what? Just trying to book guys or something?
Yeah. I'm helping guys get bookings. And what I basically said was, look, this is pro wrestling high school. I'm not a high school kid anymore. You need to knock this crap off. And that's basically what it's gotten to.
And it's mind-boggling when you think about it. And some of the most, I'm telling you, they're nice. Everybody's cool. I had a lot of friends. Don't get me wrong, but I'm telling you, man, I would just see. I'm telling you, I did not come home on Friday night when this loan almost went south and turn on mortgagebroker.com and read that I had heat. I mean, it was, and then no matter how, it was a crummy day. We went out for dinner, went to the movies. Saturday morning, I wake up, I'm on the phone with the guy. It was fantastic. I start all over Monday morning. It's not 2 months later, I'm still going to have to be hearing about this bullshit. I mean, it was unbelievable, man. Yeah. And it was 10 times worse in the office when I was, had the job behind the scenes. It never stopped. I had guys who I was friends with for 10, 12, 15 years who, as soon as I took that position, tried every single thing they could to slit my throat and bury me because I guess it just made them feel better about themselves. Or more like, well, how did he get that job? I should have that job. Or he doesn't know as much as I do. This is the way things should be done. Or whatever, that kind of stuff. And I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Just, anything I ever told anybody to do, it wasn't my volition. I didn't sit home at night crafting up all these big ideas and plans for Developmental. I would get told what, I was a supervisor, so I would get told what these people were to do, how they were supposed to do it, and I would just relay the message. But it was never good enough. It never stopped. I want you to picture every single person you know in your lives right now, both of you guys, and have literally every single one of those people turn their back on you and try to undermine you on every single thing you did in your career. And you would literally say to yourself, I don't know how you didn't quit sooner.
Huh.
I wanted to, but if I had quit, then Johnny would have got heat from everybody because his boy, quote unquote, would have been a quitter, and I would never do that to John. I wanted to quit 3 months into the job.
Well, that miserable?
I hated it.
Oh man.
I love John, and I love being around talent. Going through the seminars. I got to visit some cool places. Like I went out to Denver, Colorado, and visited Jeff Sarge, his wrestling school. Mike Spartas used to put on the camps. I love going to see him. Steve Rickert in Rhode Island. A bunch of, I might be Brad Hunter down in Carolinas. I get to go to the little wrestling schools and visit the guys. And you got to be around some people who were really hungry.
Did you ever head over to Arizona by chance or no?
I didn't get to go out there, no. I went out there to do the video games. That's another thing, too. I used to assemble the crew to go do the mocap shoot. So I would put together, I'll tell you a little secret. I had to pick, 4 or 5 people, to fit the outfits, to do the mocap shoot, and who to do it. You know how I chose these people? It was the people who I wanted to hang around with personally for 5 days. That's how Tom Dreamer did it, and that's how Dr. Tom did it. Huh?
Put me in on mocap. I feel like I should know this. What is mocap?
For the video game, where you put the suits on and do all the video game stuff. They were like 5-day shoots. So I would pick 4 or 5 people from Developmental and bring them out, and they put the suits on and they get paid. It was like $500 a day. They get all expenses paid. We get to hang out in California. One time I brought guys from the main roster. I brought Stevie one time, Nunzio, Chuck Palumbo, because they weren't doing anything. I want to bring my friends and hang out with them and get them paid. Well, you know what that caused? As soon as some of the guys at Developmental went, it turned into, well, fuck no, but he didn't bring me, blah, blah, blah. Well, dude, maybe if you had a better attitude and you actually were good in the ring, I could actually bring you. Because you suck, and I'm not bringing you anywhere. I don't even want to be here. I used to come down and sit with the guys and give them evaluations. Tell them how it was going to be, what was going down, what they had to work on, and they would say yes, yes, yes. And as soon as you walk out of the room, they go back to their old ways, and then they're fired 3 months later, and then they want to blame me. Really? Because I'm sitting here looking at my action figure, and my career's on video. I've been in the ring at WrestleMania. I've been around the world, 43 countries. I've been in the ring with everybody from Steve Austin to Lord Zoltan, and everybody in the ring. I've had over 2,000 matches. So when I sit back, I'm proud of what I accomplished. You need to look in the mirror and say, what the fuck have you done? So many guys can't do that,
This might be a stupid question, but I think you were one of the few who got the ECW action figure, and you got the WWE Simon Dean action figure. It's got to be considered an awesome honor to get that and have that in Toys R Us stores all over the world.
I got 2 action figures, bro. I remember when my Simon Dean action figure came out. I was down in New Jersey to my mom's house, came out on Christmas, and I was running to Toys R Us just to walk around the aisle and see if my action figure out. I'll never forget, there was a kid in the aisle with his dad, and they were buying figures, and the kid picked my figure up. My brother was with me and we fought. And I'll never forget the look on that kid's face when he turned around. He stares like an 8-year-old kid, and he's looking at me, looking at the figure, he's walking around, and the dad looked at me, and I put my hands out and went, yeah, and did it, and they literally, this kid literally started crying in Toys R Us. And it was just, I'm proud of it, man. You know what? And my action, even though the ECW won, I got that one, but my WWE figure, that's from Vince. I still get royalties.
Really?
WWF. Yeah. Wow. I still get a royalty check.
Do you get it from the video library or just the action figure?
All the stuff you're in, the video library, whatever you get paid for whatever your likeness is. And I don't think everybody gets that.
No, they don't.
So, I don't know, man.
I think I talked to Lenny Poffo once about a year ago, and he said, you know the great thing? He said, the great thing about the Bret Hart DVD is that I lost to Bret Hart once, and because of that, I get a paycheck.
So, I got that from Vince McMahon, WWF. Vince was great. I used to see Vince in the gym training all the time. We used to talk. He was there. Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, could have been cool with somebody. Linda was cool. Shane was cool. I remember before SummerSlam, like 3 years ago, when Hunter tore his quad and he was coming back against Booker?
Yeah.
He came to I was in the office at the time. He came to Trax every day. The wrestling's the gym up there, a little wrestling ring, and I worked out with him every day for like 2 months trying to get him ready for SummerSlam.
Wow.
And, we used to shoot the shit, and we'd always wind up talking about Developmental and some of the, bullshit I had to put up with, and he would ask me about the trainers there and what the hell they were training the guys, and I would show him some of the drills the trainers had him do, and he would just shake, not Danny. Danny Davis is awesome.
Yeah.
And And then he would just shake his head and be like, what the hell's going on? And I remember Sean and Hunter actually went to OVW one time. You know, I was out of the company at the end of August of 2007. OVW had the plug pulled on its funding and everything 6 months later.
Yeah.
So it sucks, but, you know, you can clearly see I was gone for 6 months. I always say maybe some of the things that didn't get brought to light kept it around a lot longer than it would have been. I don't know. I have no idea after I left because 6 months later they yanked everybody out and put them in Florida and cut the funding. And they fired the trainers, and I felt bad for Danny.
Yeah.
You know, Danny did a lot for WWE. He made a lot of money for those guys. He gave John Cena, Batista, and Randy Orton. But I think he's doing like an MMA thing now or something. OVW run, I don't know their schedule. I know they're still doing something down here. I think Rip Rogers trains guys, but that's about the extent. I haven't been over there since I left WWE.
Awesome.
Well, you mentioned Triple H, and you talked about it a little bit before about, you know, internet rumors and people talking about heat and stuff like that. And one rumor about you that has persisted for years is that when you first went to WWE...
she didn't say I look like him.
Okay.
I went up there. I wrestled, and, you know, not for nothing, there was a slight resemblance, I guess. I had the beard, the long hair, the whole bit. I went up there and did the dart matches one day. I was listening to Jamie Noble on Velocity. And I'm walking around backstage, and I had the long hair, and they were on a haircut kick. They cut Lance Cade's hair, a bunch of other guys, and John brings me by, and he's like, hey, Stephanie, you know, you think you should get the haircut? And Stephanie's like, well, you know, I said to her, I go, some people say I look like a little bit of a Hunter, like Van Damme. I got the long hair, the beard. She goes, well, you know, if you want to change your look and have your own look, just do whatever you feel comfortable with. I never saw Stephanie McMahon ever tell anybody they had to do this, had to do that. Totally approachable, super nice lady. She's a business lady. It's their family business. But there's a lot of stuff that gets said about those guys. It just isn't true.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying this 'cause I'm trying to go. I'm telling you now, I'm not ever going back. Maybe I'll pop up on a Raw someday and ride the scooter out if someone gives a shit or wants to do an anniversary. I don't know. But I'm done. I put my time in. I started my career at Mike Sharp's and I ended in WWE. And I walked out of the ring on my own accord. But the McMahon and Hunter, too, those guys, they get a bad rap from a lot of people. And I really don't know why. Because if it wasn't for Vince and his whole crew, none of us, I wouldn't be on the phone with you guys right now.
Is Iron Mike still running?
Who I am. I have no idea, bro. He's up in Canada somewhere. I can't find him. I know he's still alive. I tried to invite him to my wedding when I got married in Hamilton, Ontario, but I have no idea where he is. I couldn't find him. Me and Howard Finkel tried to find him one day at the office, so we just can't find him.
That's strange, because one of my friends was training with him in the early 2000s. Ed, I can't remember his last name. He was a friend I knew online, and he was
a good friend then, yeah.
Yeah, he was an online guy. We both traded like Japan tapes and stuff. So yeah, there you go.
Well, Mike Sharps was awesome in the early and mid '90s, but then he moved to Asbury Park, and it was a shithole. And there was a bunch of goofs going around there doing whatever. I mean, some of the guys were nice, but I'm not real big. Mike's name holds weight. Like when I tell the old timers that I was trained by Mike Sharp, I was like, wow, it means something. Man, I got a hard time when you got so-and-so running around and I say, hey, who trained you? And they're like, well, Billy Bob trained me, or just some jerk-off that's got a wrestling school in the middle of nowhere. I would always shake my head, you know, he charged the guys $2,000 and all this, and I would say, what the hell did he teach you? How not to make it? Because he didn't make it.
Exactly.
I mean, think about that. Seriously, I have people all the time ask me, am I ever going to be a trainer? Am I ever going to go to school? Would I train guys at OVW? And I say, you know what? I don't think I've earned the right. And I mean that. I'm not a veteran. I never consider myself one. And I don't think I've earned the right. So if I'm putting that kind of statute on myself, what do you think I'm going to think of these guys who literally pop up these schools and they train guys and they got schools and camps? Or my favorite is, when you see a guy who wrestles on the independents and he's like an indie name, I really don't know what that is. Because unless you've been on national television, I don't see how you draw money. You might have some smart marks or some people who are going to come see you wrestle at a certain place, but when some of these indie names, like supposed big indie names, are getting paid $400, $500, $600, I'm like, what are you kidding me? You really telling me that 50, 60, 75 people are coming to see this guy to justify paying him?
Exactly.
You know, more power to the boys for getting paid. But when I would see like some of these supposed indie names doing seminars and stuff, what the fuck are they going to teach them?
Exactly.
Because obviously whatever they've been doing hasn't worked. And I'm not saying it maliciously, but it just makes me scratch my head. I don't know who's stupider, the guys that are running them or the guys that pay to go to them. If you're going to save your money, go to the FCW thing when they have that, or Harley's camp, or at least you have a shot at getting seen by somebody to get a return on your investment. But don't pay to go sit and listen to some guy talk about his bullshit stories and show you some crummy wrestling that he stole from a Japanese taper. I don't know. I mean, I hate saying that stuff, but it's the truth, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see it and I just shake my head like, you got to be ribbing me.
Wow. Well, we're going to close up in just a sec, but with a couple questions left.
Sure.
We mentioned it earlier, and we even played the theme that you used when this character came about. And the entrance you made, Guilty as Charged 2001. Anybody who watched that show, I mean, I know there was Bob Ryder who said, anybody who watched that show knows that Rob Van Dam was a star. I said, I disagreed. Yeah, Rob Van Dam is a star. We knew that already. But coming out of that show, I was like, wow.
I was a star of the show.
Yeah, Nova grew.
Yep.
Nova's grown.
I was a star of the show. I was 185 pounds. I worked for a year before that to try to get in that kind of shape. I dieted like no other. I had cool gear. I came out. The people went batshit crazy when I came out. They saw me go from one extreme to the other, and I can honestly say that Van Dam, of course, got the loudest reaction. I got the second loudest reaction behind him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of bittersweet because I knew after I did that pay-per-view with Chetty being there and we started getting the vibes of what was going to happen to the company, man, I knew that was going to shut down soon after that. And I remember talking to Dreamer about it, and he was like, Paul has finally turned the corner, and he said, you and CW were going to be the next TV champions after that, and you guys are going to fight over the belt. And, you always say what could have been, but who knows, I had my best, career success, kind of speak, with push and all that kind of stuff in OVW. I won the OVW heavyweight title the first night I was in the company. I beat John Cena.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. And I feuded with him for 3 months, and I beat him all the time.
You think he deserves the crap he gets?
Absolutely not. John Cena is, I can't say this enough. John Cena is the top guy. He is the caboose that pulls the company. Mm-hmm. He literally has a schedule like no other, and I can say that from the standpoint of being in the office and seeing the assistant Ann with the schedule. John Cena does more for the WWE than any other champion before him, more than Rock, Hogan, Austin, anyone. The man is never home. He says yes to everything. He has a schedule like no other. What defines, you guys tell me, what defines a great wrestler?
Exactly.
Two of these guys who were, unknown independent guys who were having the match of the year. And if I never read the quote match of the year again, it'll be too soon. I am so I've seen 2 match of the years in the last 2 years. Both of them involved Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, WrestleMania by chance.
And Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair before that.
Yep.
That's the match of the year. Why? Because it drew money, millions of pay-per-view buys, huge. I have a hard time when people are telling me that 2 guys got together and they wrestled in front of 300 people and they gave it 4.5 stars. It was a match of the year candidate. Most of the match of the years you've never seen. Think about that. You always read about them online. So-and-so had a match of the year.
Exactly.
So I hate star ratings, by the way. Every time I see a star rating, it just makes me want to ram my head into the computer.
I've had people say to me, have you ever had a match of the year? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what that is. But, John Cena gets a lot of shit. Or who's more important, those guys or John Cena, who people are going to rip him apart because they think he can't punch? John Cena's fantastic. He's a great worker. Mm-hmm. Who cares if he's not an NCAA champion wrestler? This guy's a great worker. He gives people what they want to see. He draws money, and he brings them in. Same what Hogan did before him and all these other guys and stuff. And I hate when people give Cena shit. This guy has a schedule like no other. He's a great guy, and I hate it. I hate when people bring... people like to tear people down, man. It just pisses me off.
Man.
No reason for it.
So do you ever see in the future anything like a regular or the original ECW coming along? Like, there's a lot of people said the TNA originally had the renegade spirit of ECW and things like that. You ever see that coming along?
Can't be done. Even if I could, first of all, if I could foresee anything, I'd look into the future and look for those Powerball numbers that have been evading me for the last 10 years. But if I could foresee something in the future, it can't be done. ECW came out at a time there was 3 wrestling companies. From 1995 until about 2002 was the hottest period ever in wrestling. Yep. And you had 3 companies that fed each other, and it created a perfect storm for entertainment and the environment for the guys. There's one company. It's owned by one family. So it is what it is. It's actually there. If you want to be honest, there is kind of another ECW out there. It's called UFC.
Yep.
They take guys in UFC who have interesting personalities. They're all under contract to the same place. They all want to be there because, that's the company, it's the hot company, they want to be in it. and the matchmakers put these matches together that people want to see. Nobody I know has come up to me since January and talked about anything else except for Brock Lesnar versus Frank Mir. No one's talking about Batista versus Randy Orton in a cage, or Ric Flair, or this guy or that guy. No one. No one I know does. They all talk about George St. Pierre, B.J. Penn, and Matt Serra, Matt Hughes, Brock and Frank Mir, Kimbo Slice. I mean, nobody talks about wrestling on the streets anymore. It sucks because I hate it because I love wrestling, but, you know, there can never be another ECW. How can there be?
I'll say this, going back to UFC, I don't watch much MMA or UFC or anything like that, but I think Tito Ortiz is probably the best heel in modern days.
Tito started as a worker. I met Tito. I became friendly with Tito. I met him years ago when he was training out of UPW, Rick Basson's federation, for pro wrestling. And he was doing fighting on the side.
There you go.
And you know who was like him? Daniel Puder.
Yeah.
Daniel Puder, great kid, self-promoter,
tough
as hell. He won Tough Enough. I don't understand how that worked. He won $1 million Tough Enough, and he only got paid $100,000.
Huh.
I still don't know how he got screwed out of that. But great kid, physical, big, could have made money for WWE. He was there. He won the Tough Enough. There was a bunch of jerk-offs behind the scenes that used to shit on Puder and treat him like crap for no reason. A bunch of disgruntled veterans who hated him. They'd always, whatever. And now he's doing the Strike Force and a bunch of fighting stuff, making money. But Daniel Puder's a great guy. I like Daniel, but I think UFC. The 3 out of the top 5 pay-per-views last year were UFC.
No, that's
one of them was.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say one of them was a WrestleMania, and one was a boxing one. But I think 7 out of the top 10 grossing pay-per-views last year were UFC pay-per-views.
No,
it's not going anywhere.
Exactly, it's not going anywhere, and it's probably captured both wrestling and boxing audiences.
Of course it has. It's what decimated boxing. Wrestling will still always be there because it is a sports entertainment. A lot of people are, blaming the economy for down pay-per-view numbers and down figures. I think I told you this last week.
Yeah.
After the Great Depression, during the golden age of wrestling, it was actually towards the tail end of the Depression. That's when wrestling, the Great Depression, when it really kicked off. During these tough economic times, people want to spend money. They want to be entertained. They want to get away. If WWE comes to your town for once or twice a year, you're going to do whatever it takes to get away from real life to go there and see it. So wrestling, I know wrestling revenue has been down, pay-per-view numbers are down, TV ratings are down, and a lot of times people want to blame it on everything from the weather, the season, the economy. It really comes down, man, I hate to say this, it fundamentally comes down to giving people something they want to watch.
Do you think that wrestling could, like we talked about last week's Raw and how, I said, I'll go on record, last week on the show I said everything about last week's Raw is why wrestling is down right now.
With the basketball thing?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I went on record in saying that. Now, that is what I said. You got just cheesy humor that's not even funny and a lot of childish
wrestling fans don't want to see that, man. You got to remember something. TV is an investment of your time.
Yep.
There's obviously something else you could do, something else you can watch. There's 95,000 billion channels and stations out there. So, I have to admit, much as I love it, when I turned on the thing, I don't know who Jerry West is. I don't know who any of the impersonator guy was or David Stern. They show these impersonators sit in the crowd, and they show the Denver Nuggets guy. I only know one owner of an NBA team, the Mark Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Cuban, who owns that one team, because he's like a name, he's kind of a heel, he's a good talker. I don't know who the Denver Nuggets owner guy was. I don't. And if I don't, I'm willing to bet 99.99% of the wrestling fans who turned on last week saw it didn't know who the hell he was either. And lo and behold, if you turned on TNT and turned on the basketball playoffs, Stanley Karaoke or whatever his name is, they didn't bring out a Vince McMahon impersonator to start the NBA playoff game. I looked for it. I turned it on and said, hey, maybe they'll bring out I didn't see that, though. I didn't see Stanley Karaoke cutting a promo on Vince McMahon, a look-alike in the ring. I don't know.
I don't understand why they do it. So
that was the equivalent.
They didn't really need to.
That was the equivalent of if you and I, say we didn't get off on the right foot on this interview and I got pissed at you, I would hire then somebody to play Nova on the radio so I can embarrass you and then hang up on you. Nobody cares.
Great.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, no one would care. No one cares that they want people. Here's a novel concept. You know what people want to see in a wrestling show? Wrestling and entertainment. They want to escape reality. Man, when those Monday Night Wars were super hot, I was in ECW at the time, and we had a crew of us. Me, my brother Donnie B, Lupus, CC, like 8 of us would go to my friend CC's house every Monday night. We'd be there 8 o'clock. We'd watch Nitro the first hour, and then flip back and forth from 9 to 11. And then from 11 to like 1 a.m., we would play Fire Pro Wrestling for like hours. And just, this was our Monday ritual, bro, for like 4 years, and it never got old. And when I read the Death of WCW book and some of those other books that came out, I started backtracking all those days of watching wrestling, and they were so fresh in my head, and I'm like, my God, that was like, I was in the business, and I was still watching this stuff all the time. I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. There's so many people I ask all the time. They ask me, hey, what are you doing? Are you ever going back? And then I just ask them, I say, well, who do you like now? And I swear to God, I mean, I hate to admit this, but they always say the same thing. I don't even watch anymore.
Yeah.
And I say, why not? And the number one reason, they say it's boring.
Yeah. I just joined the Facebook, and I got on there, and there was a big clique of us. I graduated in '99, so I'm not, 10-year anniversary now, so I'm an old man now, apparently. And, at the '99, everybody was a wrestling fan. Now, I was always a wrestling fan. I was always a wrestling fan. I was there from '84 when I was a toddler.
Yeah.
I was always a wrestling fan, but there's a lot of people that joined us later on. And when I say to them, they say, well, what do you do now? I'm like, well, I do this wrestling talk show, and I do my job, and, our site is
they
actually...
look at you like you have AIDS.
Yeah, they say to me, you're really still watching that crap? And I'm like, yeah.
Everybody, bro, had a Goldberg shirt on, DX, NWO, Stone Cold, and it's just, I feel so bad because it's still right for the pickings. There's one place that could be so good, but I just think they just recycle so many things, and they don't generate enough new stars, and I'm telling you, they better do something about it, because it is what it is now, but I have my preconceived notion what it could be 5 years from now if they don't generate enough new stars, and if they don't start planning long term, because a lot of these main eventers are 40, in their early 40s, and it's just, if you don't get the people something, if you don't give them good food, they ain't going to come back to the restaurant.
Exactly.
Now, they might come in once or twice, but, you're not going to see. You're never going to see ratings in the 4s and 5s and 6s again. Impossible, man. There's too much diversity on TV, number one. There's TiVo. There's other stuff like that. So you can't even, mathematically achieve a rating like that. So if you're not, I don't know. It's just, it's frustrating. I've been watching wrestling for 30 years. I'm still a fan. I still click it on. I watch TNA sometimes, the WWE shows, just to see my friends, see what they're doing.
Now, I noticed that you don't consider TNA one of the big two or anything like that. You just see it as a distant second, or you kind of say there's only one show. Is there any reason why you don't really consider TNA that kind of a threat?
No, I definitely consider TNA a threat, but it's like I think TNA would tell you the same thing. I don't think TNA I know TNA doesn't want to be considered in the same breath as WWE. They don't have the same budget, the same expenses. I think they're very happy with what they're doing. They're doing good ratings. Their show's getting better. It's a great alternative. I love Terry Taylor, great guy. I've spoken to him a couple times. Great dude. Dixie Carter, I never met her. I'm sure she's a great lady. They got good talent down there, but I don't think they'd want to be considered like a number 2 equally with WWE, with the problems that would come with it. I think they're happy with their niche. I'd be. Exactly. They got a nice thing going on Spike. It's good. They do some house shows. They got good talent, and if I ever had the desire to do a full-time schedule again, I talked about it with Stevie, which I don't, but I would go to TNA in a heartbeat. Be some good matches there, some good guys, and I had fun. I guarantee I'd get I feel like wrestling again.
To survive in today's world in wrestling with the WWE on top like it is, it's amazing that TNA's lasted as long as it has.
Well, they just started turning some better profits, I think, over the last year or two.
Right.
It's just hard, man. You got to have a lot of money to start anything on TV. How many TV shows do you see that start up, like on ABC, NBC, like all these shows and stuff, and they're only around for like a season or half a season, they get canceled?
Yeah.
So to put anything on TV, a weekly series with fresh product is hard.
Yep.
So, but I get TNA credit. I like TNA.
Yeah.
I wish I had the desire to wrestle full time again, because I would love to go and just spend 6 months to a year with that group, just to have some good matches against a couple guys who I never got to wrestle against, and do what I got to do.
Excellent. Well, Pat, did you want to, before we take it home with the plug for the Francine, Legends of the Arena event. Did you want to take us home? Do you have any more questions you want to ask him?
No more questions. Just thank you so much for your time. This has been an amazing interview. I've loved every minute of this.
No, thank you, guys. It was definitely, like I said, I don't do a lot of these. I want to do this one. Francine put you guys over. I'd be more than happy to talk again in the future. But, you know, in the long run, it's all because of wrestling fans. I had a great time. I can't wait to go there on the 27th. I don't know what I have in the tank for after that. If I have another one, great. But if not, who knows? This could be I'm actually looking at this as probably the last time I'll ever step foot in that building, ever, in my lifetime. So that's the mindset I'm approaching it with. So if you're coming that day, man, just come on out and shoot the shit, get some pictures, hang out, and just, you know, let's do it.
Right. It's rare. It is honestly, and this is not blowing smoke up your ass, because we you know, we've had guests on the show. We're the show that argued with Ric Flair. So, yeah, I mean, respectfully, but we did.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that this is one of the rare opportunities where Patrick and I were both fans of somebody, and two completely different characters as well. Like I said, I left Guilty as Charged 2001, and I thought, wow, well, you know, everybody's saying ECW is in trouble. Well, if they are, I could see where they need to go, and it was you. And then there was, you know, the Simon Dean character, which Patrick was telling me before the show. He went to a bar. You want to tell him real quick?
Sure, absolutely. I went to a pay-per-view event in 2005. It was SummerSlam, and you were not on the card. You didn't wrestle a dark match. You were not advertised to be there at all. And I was sitting in the crowd, and honest to God, there were people sitting all around me, and they were all talking about how much they hated Simon Dean.
That was my goal, and it's missing today. I mean, some people told me that Santino was kind of close. I like Santino. I hired him. He's funny, but it stops at the last. Because until he really gets his wrestling to where it's going to be, he's going to be a comedy guy.
Yeah.
I thought I was entertaining, I could talk, and I was a really good wrestler in the ring. Yeah. And because it just fundamentally comes because, like anything else, I don't care what you do in your life. If you put your time in, you learn your lesson, you learn your craft, and you actually give a shit about what you do, you'll be good at it. I don't care if you're writing loans, or a police officer, or working as a wrestler, whatever, your radio show. Why do something unless you want to be good at it? If you just want to fuck around and waste time, go do that on your own, man. Get out of, you know, we don't need you.
Exactly. Well, thanks so much, man. We really appreciate it. Man. Anytime you ever want to come back on, if you just want to come on and tell a story or bitch, just, you know, you're welcome. We love that. I
will, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, last question for you. This is not actually on the air, just you and I just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
If you ever are interested in doing anything like a book or anything, you need to contact me because I'd love to help you.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had some guy ask me that because part of what I want to kind of do over the next year or two is start trying to get on the motivational speaking circuit. Like I was thinking about doing like from the highway to my way, and as I become more and more successful in like financial matters and the business world, it'd be kind of cool to tell a tale of like, you know, a young kid from Jersey who became a pro wrestler and drew money and then got into real estate and all. It just makes for an interesting read, you know?
Now, again, off air, just which part of Jersey are you from?
Jersey Shore, Tom Ziver, Seaside Heights, down there.
Okay, good, because there was a kid, actually, I went to school with named Mike Bucci, and I hated his guts.
Okay, well, there you go.
And hopefully he wasn't your relative, but
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was from Richfield, New Jersey, Bergen County.
Okay, no, ain't me. I'll definitely keep you guys in mind. It was definitely a fun interview. Thanks for having me, bro.
Thanks, man. You have a great night. Thanks so much. Get some sleep.
You too,
Take
man.
it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Patrick?
Hello.
Hello. All right, Pat. We're way overboard here, time-wise. That was good.
How long were we supposed to be on the air?
Hour, and it is currently. We've been on for an hour and 43 minutes.
Holy shit! That was a great interview, though.
Oh yeah, man, that was great. Hold on a sec, okay?
Yeah.
That was great, man. I appreciate it. That was awesome.
Awesome. What are we going to do for the show, though? Are we going to air the entire interview, or what's the
I'll tell you what. Let's end this show here. Let's put that up so I can download it and start figuring out what the hell I'm going to do from this.
You could probably split it into two different shows.
That might be the best way to do it.
Air half this week, and then they air the second half next week.
That would be complex, but yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. I'm smart like that. I think outside the box. I knew when we called this guy up a few days ago that this was going to be an amazing interview, and it was great.
Well, I mean, we're having Al Snow on tomorrow, but we have no time.
Oh, that's right. We have Al Snow tomorrow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay. Let me hang up on this. I'll call you right back, okay?
Okay, man. Later.
All right,